The jacket at the bus stop. The snow fell in gentle spirals through the amber glow of the streetlights, each flake dancing its way to the wet pavement below. Downtown Seattle was quieting down for the evening, with most office workers already tucked safely in their warm cars or subway trains, heading home to their families. But not everyone had made it home yet. At the corner of Pine Street, beneath the flickering bus stop sign, sat a young woman who seemed completely out of place in the winter storm. She wore a thin olive-green dress that clung to her shivering frame, her bare legs tucked beneath her as she huddled on the cold metal bench. Her long blonde hair was damp from the falling snow, and her arms were wrapped tightly around herself. In a futile attempt to stay warm, Marcus Chen had been walking home from his job at the community center when he spotted her. He was tired after a long day of organizing food drives and helping local families, but something about the woman's vulnerability made him stop in his tracks. His warm breath created small clouds in the frigid air as he approached the bus stop. "Excuse me," he said softly, not wanting to startle her. "Are you okay?" The woman looked up and Marcus was struck by her bright blue eyes, which seemed to hold a mixture of exhaustion and something else he couldn't quite identify. She tried to smile, but her lips were trembling too much from the cold. "I'm fine," she said, though her voice betrayed her. "Just waiting for the bus." Marcus glanced at the digital display above the bench. The next bus wouldn't arrive for another 23 minutes. He looked back at the woman, taking in her inadequate clothing and the way she was shivering despite her efforts to appear composed. Without hesitation, Marcus began removing his thick wool jacket. It was his favorite one, a charcoal gray coat his grandmother had given him for Christmas 2 years ago. The jacket had kept him warm through countless Seattle winters, and now it seemed like the right time to share that warmth. "Here," he said, extending the jacket toward her. "You need this more than I do." The woman stared at the offered jacket, her eyes widening slightly. "Oh no, I couldn't possibly, please," Marcus interrupted gently. "It's going to be a long wait, and you're freezing. I live just a few blocks away. I'll be fine." For a moment, she hesitated. Then, as another gust of wind sent snow swirling around them, she accepted the jacket with grateful hands. As she wrapped it around her shoulders, Marcus noticed how the simple act seemed to transform her. The jacket was large on her small frame, but it enveloped her like a warm hug. "Thank you," she said, and this time her smile was genuine. "I'm Emma." "Marcus," he replied, settling down beside her on the bench. "Mind if I wait with you? I want to make sure you get on the bus safely." Emma nodded, pulling the jacket tighter around herself. They sat in comfortable silence for a few minutes, watching the snow continue to fall. The city around them seemed muffled by the winter storm, creating an intimate bubble of quiet at their little bus stop. "This is really kind of you," Emma said finally. "Most people would have just walked past." Marcus shrugged. "My grandmother always taught me that we're all just walking each other home. Sometimes that means literally making sure someone gets home safe." Emma studied his profile as he spoke. There was something genuine about this man, something refreshingly honest in a world where she had grown accustomed to people having ulterior motives. "What do you do, Marcus?" "I work at the Riverside Community Center," he said. "We run programs for families in need, organize food drives, that sort of thing. It's not glamorous, but it's rewarding." "What about you?" Emma paused, considering her answer. She was used to people's reactions when she mentioned her position as CEO of Northwest Dynamics, one of Seattle's fastest-growing tech companies. The assumptions, the sudden changes in behavior, the way conversations shifted from genuine to calculated. Tonight, wrapped in a stranger's jacket and feeling more human than she had in months, she found herself wanting to delay that inevitable shift. "I work in business," she said simply. Nothing too exciting. They talked easily as they waited. Marcus told her about his work with elderly residents at the community center, how he taught computer classes to help them stay connected with family. Emma found herself sharing stories about her childhood in small-town Oregon, memories she rarely discussed anymore. The conversation flowed naturally, punctuated by comfortable silences and the gentle sound of snow meeting pavement. When the bus finally arrived, its headlights cutting through the snowy darkness, Emma felt an unexpected pang of disappointment. She stood up, reluctantly preparing to return the jacket. "Keep it," Marcus said, standing with her. "You'll need it more than I will tonight." "But it's your jacket," Emma protested. "How will I get it back to you?" Marcus smiled. "I'm at the community center most days. If you want to return it, you can find me there. But honestly, just knowing you made it home warm is enough for me." As Emma climbed the steps of the bus, she turned back to look at Marcus through the window. He was standing in the snow, his hands in his pockets, watching to make sure she was safely aboard. The bus pulled away, and Emma settled into a seat, the jacket still wrapped around her shoulders like a protective shield. Over the next few days, Emma found herself thinking about Marcus and his quiet kindness. She had been working late that night, dealing with a crisis at the company that had left her stranded downtown when her car service canceled. She had been prepared to call another ride. But when she stepped outside and saw the heavy snow, she decided to take the bus, something she hadn't done in years. She hadn't expected to meet someone like Marcus. The following week, Emma made her way to the Riverside Community Center. She had the jacket cleaned and pressed, and she carried it in a garment bag as she walked through the center's modest lobby. She found Marcus in a classroom, patiently helping an elderly man navigate a tablet. "Emma," Marcus looked up, surprised but pleased to see her. "I came to return your jacket," she said, though she felt oddly reluctant to let it go. As they talked, Emma learned more about the center's work and the challenges they faced. The building needed repairs, their computer lab was outdated, and they were struggling to expand their programs despite growing demand in the community. "We make do with what we have," Marcus said with characteristic optimism. "The important thing is that we're helping people." Emma nodded, making a mental note. Later that evening, she made a few phone calls from her corner office downtown Northwest. Dynamics had been looking for community partnership opportunities, and she had just found the perfect match. When Marcus arrived at work the next morning, he found an envelope on his desk. Inside was a check that would fund the community center's operations for the next 3 years, along with a note that simply read, "Thank you for the jacket. Now let me help keep your community warm." It wasn't until he saw the company letterhead that Marcus realized who Emma really was. But by then, it didn't matter. He had seen who she truly was, that snowy night at the bus stop, not a CEO or a business executive, but simply a person who needed help and warmth. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness create the biggest changes, and sometimes offering your jacket to a stranger in the snow is the beginning of something beautiful.